Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. Readings from and later reflections on Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. This is the book written by Swami Gambhiranandaji. We are on the 8th chapter, page 86. When heart calls heart. We have followed the mother's doings as she moved about busily within the precincts of the Nahabad, contented with glimpses of the master from afar. That self-content with her work and association with the master was only one side of her life, and not a very important one. She lived at Dakshineswar only for serving the master meticulously, any personal benefit being only incidental and never her main objective. If that were not so, her mind would someday or other revolt against the monotonous drudgery and the rigid routine of the Nahabad and would search for an escape from it. The remedy was not quite beyond her reach, for at Dakshineswar itself, not far away, there was the house built by Shambhu Babu, and none at the temple premises could object seriously if she chose to relax herself a little from the shackles with which she voluntarily bound herself. But we are not concerned here with a discussion of the possible means of the mother's personal happiness. We want to delineate the kinds of service that she rendered primarily to the master and incidentally to his devotees as well. With this side of her life, we are already partly acquainted, and we shall get more evidence of it as we proceed. We shall confine our attention mainly to the period beginning with the coming of the devotees and ending with the final illness of the master. Prior to the mother's arrival at Dakshineswar and her dedication to the service of the master, life was rather uneventful with him. But when towards the end of his austerity, his power of digestion suffered, the mother came upon the scene as if through divine direction. Hridaya left the temple premises and the master's health improved as a result of the most devoted service of the mother. All these factors made the master depend more and more on her. If she happened to go anywhere, the childlike master felt helpless and would become extremely anxious to bring her back. Such solicitude on the part of one who was ever absorbed in spiritual experience may appear enigmatic to many. But from the mother's point of view, we easily realize that her service was so successful that it could not rivet on her the attention of the mightiest spiritual giant that history has witnessed. The mother massaged the master's feet, even as does Lakshmi sitting at Lord Narayana's feet. Before bath, she rubbed oil on his person and prepared nourishing and palatable dishes for him, according to his taste and condition of health. In short, she then forgot herself in him, and it was not perhaps possible, even for a detached mind like that of Sri Ramakrishna's, to be oblivious of such consecrated service, instances of which, as all the master's dependence on her, are numerous. The master had a weak liver, so the mother cooked for him soups and curries that were easily digestible. Now, according to Hindu custom, a wife may not do so during certain days when her person is considered impure. During those few days, the master ate whatever came to him as prasada from the Kali temple and suffered as a consequence. So he asked the mother one day, "Look here, dear, my trouble has increased because you did not cook my food during these days. Why didn't you do so?" The mother explained, "Women can't cook for anybody during the days of their impurity." "Who says they can't?" asked the master. "Do it for me, you won't incur any sin thereby. Would you explain which part of your body is impure? Skin, flesh, bone, or marrow? Know that purity and impurity reside in the mind. There is nothing impure outside. After that, the mother always cooked for him. The master, highly delighted at this, said, "See, my dear, how healthy is my body by taking your dishes." Another account of this service the devotees heard from the mother. Once Kaviraj, Ganga Prasad Sen, a Kaviraj is a physician who treats in accordance with the old Indian system of medicines called Ayurveda or science of life. Ganga Prasad Sen of Kumartoli, Calcutta, was called in to cure the master of an ailment. The Kaviraj asked the patient to give up some water altogether during the treatment. Childlike as the master was, he went on asking everybody, "Well, dear, shall I be able to manage without drinking water?" The mother said to him encouragingly, "Most assuredly you will." Still the master said by way of caution, "Water has to be wiped off even the pomegranate seeds. Try if you can." The mother assured him, "Well, that depends on how Mother Kali will have it. By her grace, I shall try my utmost." Then he resolved to give up water. The mother offered him plenty of milk daily and increased the quantity gradually without his being aware of it. The milkman who came to the temple garden gave her the extra milk left unsold and said, "If I leave the milk there, those people will carry it home after it has been offered to Kali and will give it to all kinds of people. Whereas if I leave it here, the master will drink it." In exchange, he got from the mother all kinds of sweets and other things that lay at hand. The devotees used to bring those things plentifully, and so there was no dearth. She then condensed the milk to 2 or 3 pints by boiling. When the master asked her, "How much milk is there?" she referred only to the thickened milk and said, "How much indeed? It may be 2 or 2.5 pints." Not convinced, the master would say, "No. Why then is there that thick layer of cream?" The mother nevertheless coaxed him to drink the whole quantity. One day, Golapma was present at the meal time, and the master asked her, "Well, my dear, what is the quantity of milk there?" Golapma, unaware of the purpose behind the question, gave out the quantity of the unboiled milk. Startled at this, the master said, "Ah, such a lot of milk? That's why I get indigestion. Call her, call her." The mother came running, and the master inquired again, "How much is the milk?" The mother gave her usual reply, but the master persisted. "Why then Golap does speak of there being so much?" Unabashed, the mother explained, "Golap knows nothing. What does Golap know of our measurement here? How can Golap know how much a pot contains?" The matter ended there that day. But on another occasion, the master again inquired of Golapma, and she said, "One bowlful of milk from here and another from the Kali temple." The master started and said, "Ah, what a quantity! Call her, ask her." As soon as the mother entered, the master inquired, "How much milk does the bowl contain? How many quarts and pints?" The mother replied, "I know nothing of quarts and pints. Who indeed cares for so much calculation?" The master pleaded, "Can anyone digest so much? As it is, I shall have indigestion." And in fact, he had it that afternoon, so that he had to forego his evening meal. The mother gave him a cup of sago. Noticing the action of the master's thoughts and beliefs on his body, fully established in truth as he was, Golapma told the mother regretfully, "Mother, you ought to have warned me, for his meal is spoiled." The mother explained, "A white lie for feeding one has nothing bad in it. If I feed him by cajoling him, it's okay." That is to say, the mother's attention was fixed not so much on formal veracity as on the improvement of the master's health. And as a matter of fact, she found that he was putting on weight by drinking milk in plenty. A word or two may be necessary by way of explanation for people who are wedded to a mere meticulous observance of conventional standards. When the mother asked the master not to be insistent about ascertaining the exact quantity of milk, she was perhaps following his own line of thought. Once the cashier of the temple paid the master less than his monthly allowance through some mistake. When the mother heard of it, she suggested that it might be rectified by bringing it to the notice of that officer, at which the master simply said, "Baba, to think that I could calculate?" In the present case too, the mother perhaps wanted to defeat the master through his own psychological approach in order to make him drink the milk. Secondly, when we are discussing this topic, there flashes before our mind's eye the picture of a mother coaxing some dear, specially helpless, unthinking children to take wholesome food. What a lot of irrelevant talk and fanciful stories they indulge in for feeding their dear little ones. In such cases, no one dares charge them with lying or prevarication, nor does such a preposterous idea cross the mind. And what is morality after all? There is nothing absolute about it. We pronounce it something good after referring it to a certain background for a comparative study. The rose is not all good, it has its thorns. And yet, the blooming flower with its captivating fragrance and with dewdrops on the soft petals that reflect the morning light makes us oblivious of its drawbacks, and thus leaves only a sweet memory which is ever a source of delight. The loving words of mothers and other dear ones too are only a source of comfort and happiness, and their memory also is equally charming. The Holy Mother did not end with mere endearing words. She used to press the rice with her hands to make the quantity appear less, so that the mere sight of it might not scare the master. So long as the master's mother was alive, he used to go to her and eat his food sitting before her. But later on, the food was carried to his room by the mother. So this is the beginning of the 8th chapter that we are reading. We shall do some reflections on some of the points that we read. Previously, in the previous chapters, we found Mother standing on her own feet in spite of Master's orders. We found that Mother was having absolute obedience to Master from the very time she came to Dakshineswar in that Kali temple where Sri Ramakrishna lived for 8 years. Mother came there and she was absolutely obedient to him. When Master used to teach her many of the spiritual sadhana, and not only that, was small things also he used to teach her, like how to light a lamp, how to make a wick, and how to enter into that vehicle, that is that bullock cart, and when she should come out, all those things he would teach her. Small things, because she was 17, 18 year old only. So he used to teach her all these things. So Mother had great reverence for Master, that he is my Guru. One day he wrote on her tongue a mantra. Not only that, one night on a Kali Puja, that is Palaharani Kali Puja night, he asked her to come to his room and made her seated on a seat, on a raised platform seat, where he did puja to her as the Divine Mother. So she had great admiration for Master and she used to listen to him. But at one point, she was very strict with Master, that if anybody calls me Ma and tells me something, I cannot stop fulfilling the desire of that person. So we saw some instances last week that how mother used to bring food to master every day. Suddenly one day, one lady came and told, Ma, please give me the plate. I will take this plate to master. So mother gave the plate to her. And that lady came to master's room and kept the plate before him. And master was sitting very stiff. She was not eating. So Holy Mother went and sat next to him and said, Thakur, she used to call him Thakur. Thakur, why you are not eating? Start eating. Then master was in a very harsh tone asked her, why did you send the plate through that lady? Then mother asked, what happened to that lady? Don't you know that she lived an immoral life? And I am so sensitive that I can't touch a plate touched by an immoral one. You should have brought the plate. Why did you send through her? Then mother said, look Thakur, don't question me. Because if anybody calls me mother, that's enough. I cannot stop giving this. Okay, from tomorrow I will bring myself. That's a different thing. But if anybody says mother to me, I am all the time, I will go, my kindness will go to them. Another time, one disciple, that is Baburam, used to come to Dakshineswar. Baburam became later Swami Premananda. And this boy, of course, nice, he comes from a very good family and they used to have plenty of food in their home. And when he came to Dakshineswar, and mother would call him and feed him. Feeding is not a problem. But then in the night, after 12 o'clock, he would fall asleep. And that was the time when master used to raise his disciples and take them to Panchavati and teach them the process of meditation. And this boy was lethargic. He could not get up timely, and then he was in South Africa, of course, we say time asleep. In English, we say timely. So today we are having devotees from South Africa.
Why time asleep?
That is the word they use.
That's what, English or African?
English.
That is English.
Timeously.
Yes,
Timeously.
Timeously.
Yes, timeously. So that was the word I learned there. So now you say that, and he asked, mother, how many rotis you feed him? No, mother was a little disturbed, She feeds to all the children there. So she is feeding. So you can't ask her just like that. So she was just evading the answer. But then master was not happy. He said, no, I want to know how many rotis you feed him. She said 6. After long questioning. Oh, that's why the boy is getting, sleepy and he's unable to do meditation. From tomorrow, you should feed him only 4 rotis. That was the strict instruction from master. We all believe that mother should have heard him. But no, she stood her ground at that time. She said, no Thakur, if anybody calls me mother and asks for extra roti, I cannot refrain from doing. You find in every mother who has got, not necessarily a mother with a child, who has got a motherly nature. That is applicable even for a man. Men also can have the motherly feeling, is it not? Like Baburam, or later when he became as the manager of the Belur Mutt. And he was like that. He used to feed everyone. Whoever comes to him, you must take food and then go. Once, 20-25 people arrived in Belur Mutt. And it was about 2 o'clock. All the food has been finished and vessels have been cleaned and there was nothing. But he went to the kitchen and put dal and rice and made a khichdi and fed everyone. So that shows even in the male body, a person can have the motherly feeling. So motherly feeling is not prerogative of a woman. So I used to say there are many women who may not or may be lacking in motherly feeling, But there are many men who can have exceedingly motherly feeling. So this motherly feeling is something, and Holy Mother wanted to establish to this world the motherhood of this divine form. So she says, if anybody calls me Ma, I cannot keep quiet. I have to obey. So with that, we find that in the 8th chapter, the author Swami Gambhiranji goes into now the personal relationship of Holy Mother with Sri Ramakrishna. How that went on. living in Dakshineswar temple and looking at him, and he became, that was the period when Ramakrishna's sadhana was over. Ramakrishna's sadhana is a great saga. You know, when you read about 10 years, the way he was doing austerities, not at all eating. There are 3-4 days would go together continuously when he used to sit in the Panchavati and be deeply immersed in meditation. And this, his Hriday, who was assisting him, his nephew, he used to go and beat him in the back. And sometimes he will hold his jaws and open the mouth and pour milk into his mouth. Such was the way that Ramakrishna was doing austerities. And so he was not at all eating. His health started slowly deteriorating. But early time, before he started the austerities, he had a very good figure. And that figure became slowly reduced. And he had lots of problems, with the stomach. And sometimes he had to run to that place where you pass for that. He used to run with that small, what do you call that? In South Arabia we call it sombu.
Lota.
Lota. No. A lota with water. Because his stomach was not all right. And he became very weak also. Because of the austerities. That's why in one of the Buddha's teachings we find, Buddha says that have middle path, choose middle path. Neither the extreme austerities nor the extreme luxury. Choose the middle path so that your body can go on. But that is the time Master's teachings started as a saint. So at that time Sarada Devi came to Dakshineswar and she saw Master's body was not well. So the doctor, she consulted the doctor. The doctor said, feed him milk. This much of pint you have to feed milk. So she was feeding him. And he was quite happy with that he was not asking anything. But he asked one day, how much you are feeding me? And she said, when the milk is boiled and boiled repeatedly, the quantity goes down. That quantity she told. So it did cleverly, because she didn't want to upset him. But if he knows that he is taking the original quantity, if he hears, then he may not drink milk at all. And if he doesn't drink milk at all, his body will not be healthy. So with that result, she hid that. And she said, what is the... She didn't tell a lie, but it was the quantity that she understood. Because Master also was like that. So one of the incidents that the author quotes here, that we saw. So she wanted to, he says very beautifully, see how he puts it here. Yes. Psychological approach, he says. When the master received 5 rupees per month salary for being a pujari in the Dakshineswar temple, and 1 month he did not get 5 rupees. There was a calculation mistake and the cashier gave less than 5 rupees. So what would you say? So he came and then they counted and oh, it was like this. And mother told, why don't you go to the officer and tell him you gave me less than 5 rupees? You tell him. This is quite a proper thing. But he says, I cannot calculate so much. Master said to her, so she took it as a clue. And she said, now I cannot calculate on the milk. Don't force me. So the author explains here, in the present case, the mother perhaps wanted to defeat the master through his own psychological approach in order to make him drink the milk. That is how she used that. It was a very good thing before. See, between husband and wife, there are so many things happening. There are plenty of incidents that this chapter is going to say. And you will be surprised. Like any ordinary couple, they had certain things, but then they were all done on the spiritual plane. And that's what we see that. And he says, the author says here, why should you calculate? Because you see the ordinary mothers, how they feed us. Even I remember the feeding time, sometimes you remember your childhood days. And feeding time, say mother takes you in her hands, and in one hand she's keeping the plate and she's feeding you. She will show the crow or she will show the moon. And there are some songs in Tamil language that mother is singing, showing the moon and feeding the child. So like that. And suddenly, in some of the mothers I have seen feeding in Calcutta. So the mother, the bellu but sometimes the couple bring the children also. And sitting on the grass, they're feeding. And I am walking like this. I'm just going on my own way. I'm not concerned about them. But then the lady is showing the child, hey, the Swami is coming. He will take you away. Eat. I get upset. So slowly I go to that mother and said, Mother, don't create such type of impression on the child. And the child will always be afraid of a monk. Because you are creating a bhiti, a fear. And you are making the child eat your food all that time and making us in the wrong position. So don't say that. So like that, some people do that. But is the mother has gone very far? No, we don't take it offensive. I just told you as a joke. But we don't take it offensive. Okay, it's all right. So mothers have to invent new lies. If you can say, what is the purpose? The purpose is the child should be fed. The child should eat. So it is a white lie, it is called. So white lies are okay. If that benefits the person for whom you are telling the lie. So he says, what a lot of irrelevant talk and fanciful stories they indulge in for feeding their dearest. That's how these stories of giants, etc. have come. Yesterday we went to the Giants Causeway, and the tourist was telling about the giants and how they jump into the ocean, etc. So all the stories are coming like that. Maybe told to the children, and the children obeyed that. Okay, let me eat like that. So all the stories are like that. So here also we find, but the problem with the milk was he goes a little deeper, and master was not convinced because one day he had indigestion. If the milk is the right quantity, I should not get indigestion. Why did I get? So he didn't ask mother. Instead of that, he asked Golapma. And Golapma has not been forewarned by mother, And Golapma said the real milk quantity. And that made him upset. Sometime the mind and body, rather all the time I should say, mind and body is interconnected. Whatever the mind thinks, the body can do, and whatever the body is felt, and the mind also can think. So it is interconnected. You cannot differentiate. Once in Kanpur, when I joined Kanpur as a brahmachari, and all the Swamis know that I am from south and I am complete vegetarian. So what they did, once I had malaria. And the malaria was so severe. And then I was about 1 month I had to take rest. And then drugs were, of course, their anti-malaria drugs were given, etc., etc. And then the Swami, the Pujari Maharaj, was very, very kind to me. He would take care of me. As a young brahmachari, a 22-year-old boy, so he has come all the way from the south. So he has had extra attention to me. And the rest of all brahmacharis were Bengalis. And they all would speak. And that's how I learned Bengali in a month times. Because all were speaking and constantly you are hearing and you can pick it up. So at that time, he talked to the doctor. Doctor said, you see, the boy is from south, okay, he's complete vegetarian, etc. But why don't you give him egg? Then the Pujari Swami said, no, he won't eat. He can't eat. But what do there is a lauki, lauki, what do you call it in English?
Gourd.
Huh?
Gourd.
Calabash.
Calabash.
Calabash they call it. So that lauki, you cut into pieces and make a sabji. It's sabji, and you add the white portion of that egg. And when you mix it, you will not know it at all. That something has been mixed into that.
So,
And you can give him. So he will not understand it all. And it won't give you a bad smell. Because it has got spices, etc. So that's all. And then within 10 days, I felt very much. I have recovered. So I asked Pujari Maharaj, oh, every day you give me this lauki. Why?
Tasty love.
Tasty Loti toast, of course. And it was, he said, no, he asked me how it is. Did you find it tasty? He said, yes, it's very tasty. I said, then he told me that, that as per the doctor's advice, I had to mix this egg for you. I heard it, just like the conversation, I heard it, and I came to my room. I didn't know what happened to me. I had to run to the bathroom basin and vomit the whole thing on that day. Whatever I ate, everything. You see, the mind has got certain things. It is a sensor board like that. It censors you. And it tells you that, oh, that is not acceptable. So if you are convinced in your mind that the particular item is not acceptable to you, even if you eat without knowing it, it may have reaction. So it is how it is affected. So he says, when he heard from Golapma that he is drinking milk so much, on that day he had indigestion again. He had to rush to the bathroom again. So that's what happened. So the body and mind is very interconnected. So he says, then of course, mother had to explain. You see, a white life for feeding one has nothing bad in it. I feed him by cajoling him thus. What this incident signifies to us, as we are the students of this life of Ramakrishna and Mother Sarada, is this, that Master became almost like a baby in the hands of Holy Mother. Though she was wedded to him and he is her husband, but that husband-wife relation got completely obliterated when they started living as monk and nun. She was a nun and he was a monk. And their relationship, in that she used to consider him as her own child, and how a child has to be brought up, likewise she took care of him for his health purpose. So this the loving words of mothers and other dear ones too are only a source of comfort and happiness, and their memory also is equally charming. The Holy Mother did not end with mere endearing words. See, she had to show it in action also. It's not merely telling him, oh Thakur, this is what is required nicely, you take this, etc., etc. But it's very difficult, when I used to take some medicines, if you say Benadryl, we used to have for cough, etc., and it has got alcohol. It's very difficult to drink that medicine, because it has got alcohol. When you know that, then the mind does not want to accept. And if mind does not accept, the body also will not be able to take it. That's why the doctors have got a special responsibility to see the patient, and they probe into the patient's characteristics, whether you are vegetarian or not, they ask. Why? Because they want to know what type of things will suit you, and according to advice. Today I am very happy from South Africa, one doctor is with us, Dr. Rakesh Pandey, and welcome to our South African devotees also. And you know how wonderful it is that doctors, when you go to doctors, recently I went to a doctor here, one Dr. Aragal, is a Tamil doctor, and the way he inquired me, so many things, I thought, why is he inquiring, they may not be relevant. But after reading this chapter, I understand, yes, all these questions of doctors are relevant. Because from that only they come to a conclusion, what type of advice they can give to the patient for the purpose of curing the patient from what he is suffering from. So that's how he says that you should not stop with endearing words, you should follow it with action. So what type of action? Master, if you give rice, say cooked rice you are giving to somebody, so what they do, they give rice, you take a spoon or the big spoon and then give it. There are some spoons are available in Calcutta with the hand like.
Yeah, for serving rice.
For serving rice. So you can have that spoon, and it's so nice, it's as if you put it through by your hand. The spoon itself is like that. It's formed like that. So with that, 2 spoons, 3 spoons, the measurement. So you say after 2 spoons, you say okay. So, but I want to feed you 4 spoons, and you are stopping me with 2 spoons. Is there any way that I can give you 4 spoons, but without your knowing? There is one way. So in Bengal they do adopt it. What they do, they take 4 spoons quantity can come up in a bowl. They take a bowl and put the cooked rice in the bowl and then put the bowl upside down and take the bowl out and the rice is just like that. And you will not know at all. And not only that, if you press it, it's within the bowl, the rice goes down and down, you can add more. And then you put it. Generally the mothers do for their children. Suppose you are there outside and you are in London and your mother is sitting in Calcutta and after 2 years you go to see your mother. And naturally mother would like to feed. And she would feed like that so that my son should eat well. You know, that is it. So here the same tactics Holy Mother did. What she did, she used to press the rice with her hands to make the quantity appear less so that mere sight of it might not scare the master. So he would think the bowl is there and it is pressed. So he said, okay, the quantity is not much. So long as the master's mother was alive, he used to go to her and eat his food sitting before her. This is a wonderful custom. In every Hindu household, you can see this. The mother and her child, they have got a unique relationship. And everyone can remember how the mother used to feed each one. And you can see that mother will sit next to you and then feed you. That is one of the important way how a mother feeds her child. Everywhere. I met my mother once after becoming monk 20 years after. And it was in Jamshedpur. And I went to Jamshedpur to see her because she couldn't come to Jamshedpur, to Ranchi. And then I sat with her. In the ashram we were eating. And then she is telling that brahmachari who was feeding us separately and give little more rice. So I could see that, yes, mother is mother, you can't say. And if you want to please her, and she will be pleased if you eat that. If you don't eat, she will not be pleased, you see. So for her sake, I also eat. So like that, you find that how wonderful it is, the mother's love. And we find how wonderful Sri Ramakrishna became a child in her hands. And that's why she is called not mere mother, she is called Holy Mother. It's a very beautiful, epithet that we use for Mother Sarada Devi. The day Sri Ramakrishna worshipped her as a divine mother, as a Tripura Sundari, that is the form he took, and then he imagined for her, and he put the mantras, and he worshipped, and he submitted his japa mala at her holy feet. On that day she became Holy Mother. So that Holy Mother's life, that's wonderful. And she was not only after the passing away of the master, you can find in the life of Holy Mother that she treated everyone like that. Whoever came to her, next to her, and she was Holy Mother to each and every other person. As we go on in this life, we will have more instances to look at. Very inspiring life. We shall continue next week. Om Kripam Kuru Mahadevi Suteshu Pranateshu Cha Charanasraya Danena Kripamayi Namostute. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.